marketers, this is the Girls in Marketing podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We are so excited to get started with the episode. Just before we do, we want to give you a little introduction to who we are and what we do. Girls in Marketing is an e-learning platform and online community. We are on a mission to bridge the digital skills gap and equalise gender seniority in marketing. Right, that's enough chat. Let's get into the episode. Hello and welcome back to the Girls in Marketing podcast. We are back with a brand new season, which means lots of lovely new guests and a brand new setup as well. So we now have video as well as audio, which is something that we have anticipated and really been excited for a long time. But today, we're just going to get straight into the episode. I am joined with Fiona Bradley, who is the founder of FB Comms, which is now a digital marketing agency. She used to be a freelancer and she's made that transition, which has been quite a lengthy but exciting process for her, and she is also the winner of multiple awards including Digital Women and the EU Content Awards as well. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started with our very first episode of season 3. Hello everyone, welcome to the studio. We are joined with our first guest today, Fiona. Hi Fiona.
Hey.
It's so lovely to have Fiona in the studio today. I am actually just so even shocked that this is happening right now, and it's crazy but super excited to have you on. So first of all, congratulations, because we were just chatting about the fact that you have been a freelancer and are now transitioning into a limited company. So tell me a little bit more about that. What's kind of going on at the moment with that, and what's your process been?
I set up FB Comms kind of as a freelancer, and it just kind of grew. I mean, things blew up, and while I wanted to take on all the work, it's not feasible. So I was kind of booked out, and then more really fun clients came along, and I didn't want to say no or refer them on. And it kind of made sense to then start looking at bringing people on. So I've got my first full-time employee starting in April. Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And you were just saying, like, you know, when you do hire someone, how's that process been for you, like hiring someone and finding someone? Because I assume, you know, I've hired someone in the past, and it's kind of been my little baby. So how's that been for you, the process of hiring someone and kind of, you know, trying to almost kind of like give away your baby, a little bit of your baby?
Well, it's so important for your first employees to be a cultural fit, and for you to basically get on with them really well. But I think the first person that I've hired has the skills that I don't, things that she's not, I suppose, completely comfortable with are my strengths. So together we make a functioning company. Yeah. I'm the creative chaos and she is the order and process.
Yeah, that's really nice. No, I think that is so true. You know, with me in particular, with our first hire, which was Martha, she's definitely the same. You know, a lot of the kind of organizational skills. Yeah. I would say I'm pretty organized, but sometimes there's certain things and you think someone is really good, and that's what you kind of need in your life, isn't it, really? So for those listening, you are the founder of FB Comms, which is now your agency. Yes. What kind of inspired you to take the jump into freelancing? What was your journey with that?
Well, I mentioned earlier, it was an accident. I just knew that I wasn't happy in my previous agency. There wasn't the room to grow, and you know, kind of values weren't aligned. It was time to move on. When I was looking for full-time roles, my old director came to me and he had a position for one of his clients, but it meant that I needed to be a contractor because it was easier for them to employ me that way. So it was like a full-time role, and then pandemic hit, that completely fell through, and I'm like, oh, what now? Yeah. But then I just started going through my phone book and found some freelance clients. Was like, you know what? this is really quite fun.
Yeah.
And just, it kind of went from there.
Yeah, I think that has been the case with a lot of people during the pandemic. You know, maybe some people who are listening right now have taken that jump, or perhaps maybe thinking about it. So it's nice to know that, you know, from what I've seen of you, you are doing really well.
Oh, thank you.
And that is not necessarily a decision that you regret, because, you know, it is a big decision, you know, taking that leap and kind of becoming self-employed. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and I'm really excited to jump into this episode because I think I've been seeing so much of your stuff on LinkedIn recently, and I think you've got a really cool story that so many people would relate to, and also just maybe aspire to be, especially now that you are an agency owner. And also learn a little bit about your kind of freelancing, your journey, what you kind of learned from that. It'll be really lovely to chat to you about that. Now, we get so many questions to Girls Marketing, to me, myself, about finding clients. So talking about freelance clients, what's your process like? How does that work for you? How do you get freelance clients? And how does it kind of differ maybe now to how it did, you know, when you started?
It's always the big question. And it's always, I suppose, why someone freelancing could do really well or not do as well, because they can't find the work there. Initially, I literally went through my phone book and my LinkedIn, told all my friends, family, Instagram followers, Twitter, old colleagues, any clients that I'd previously worked with, old bosses, and I told everyone and put the word out, because even if your mate doesn't need marketing, they've got nothing to do with it, they might have a mum who's just opened a bakery who needs a logo and some signage and all that, so word can get round. So it was basically kind of people that I knew and previous colleagues that started off, but now it's more like I'm getting a lot of leads through LinkedIn after spending all that time, I suppose, building an audience who align with my values, and then people see my content and then they get in touch. So it's kind of differed from I was outreaching previously, whereas now kind of clients are coming to me, which is like the freelance dream, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it really is. And I think, you know, when you get to that position, maybe you can be a bit more picky with who you work with. And I've chatted to a lot of people within our kind of members community and just sales marketing community in general, and they always say about people who freelance and that kind of scariness of you know, finding clients. And I think it's difficult to take the leap with freelancing because, well, where are you going to get your clients? Or, you know, a full-time job is great because it means that you kind of know you're going to the office every day and you know the kind of things that you're doing. But with freelancing, you don't really have that. Obviously, you do have regular clients and stuff like that, but finding freelance clients can be really difficult. And I like the fact that you're saying, you know, at the beginning you did a lot of outreach, because I almost think it's kind of a bit taboo, to be honest. You know, LinkedIn is huge at the moment, personal branding is huge, everyone's talking about how to gain clients, but no one's really saying in the beginning it probably will be a lot of outreach. And I think there's a bit of a kind of taboo around outreach and talking to people, and I really like the fact that you said, you know, you chatted to family and friends, because like you said, at the end of the day, anyone could need a little bit of help, and you're just beginning, maybe they're just beginning, so that's kind of a nice balance, isn't it? Yeah, exactly. How does it work with kind of cold outreach? Did you go through any of the processes with cold outreach?
Yeah, and it went terribly. So there was one point, and I actually spent about £200 on Bidvine credits. Yeah. But all those clients, I mean, I earned it back, but all those clients, like, I was reaching out to them. And the thing is, when you're doing cold outreach, you have to convince that person of your worth and that they need you and your services and that you're worth X pounds or things like that. Whereas when it's people coming to you, when you can get to that stage, you don't have to argue your value with them. So those clients that I did get through cold outreach, the relationships were just not as easy, and not as fruitful, and I'm not working with any of those kind of big buying clients anymore. It has its place. There is a time, like, if there's a really, really wonderful company, or you've got that dream client, they're not going to find your freelance website by by accident. You've got to put yourself in that situation. If you see a person, or I don't know, even like a music artist that you really want to work with, you've got some ideas for their social, go for it. But in a world of LinkedIn Sales Navigator, if you send in those kinds of things, you want to stand out, like with a voice note or a personalized video to show that you've looked at their profile, you're going through it, you can align with them, and that's kind of the way to stand out. I mean, I'm not knocking off websites like Bark, Upwork, Bidvine, because they did fill a gap for me, but it didn't work out as well as people that have personally referred me, or that I kind of knew anyway, in a non-professional context previously.
Yeah, I think what is nice to kind of hear is, you acknowledge the fact that you've worked with these websites before. I have as well, when I was freelancing, and it's a nice way to start and to make those initial connections. And then I was similar to you with my kind of journey, where I kind of got some connections, built up a bit of an income, built up a bit of a name, and then kind of carried it, from there. So, I think I speak to a lot of people, and I say, especially these freelance websites, again, like, no hate to them, but it is pretty low budget. These things people are putting on that they want a logo for, £50 or something, and they want you to do it within 24 hours or something crazy like that. So I think you kind of build up a clientele of people that you want to work with, but at the beginning you can't always be picky, so I suppose that is the case, isn't it?
It's getting into that position. I mean, it's going to be awkward. You're never going to right off the bat get really, really lucky with all these high flying clients. You're going to kind of learn what works for you and what doesn't, and I suppose like the first year is so difficult, and I did so many things that just really didn't work. So talking to other people that want to get into freelancing or start their own marketing career, I'm more than happy to mentor and share, and will like exactly what you're doing with Girls in Marketing. If I can kind of help anyone make life a little easier, and say, don't spend £200 on Bidvine,
anything,
then it's kind of worth it.
Everything that we do with Girls in Marketing is meant to help people. And I think even if someone's just listening right now and they've either started freelancing, or they're in the process of it, or they're thinking about it, because I speak to a lot of people that say, it's on my kind of agenda for the future, but not really something that I would do now. And I think it's really interesting that, you said about personalised like messages and LinkedIn messages, because I don't know about you, I'm sure with all the personal branding stuff that you've done recently, that you get a lot of messages. I always find there's a huge difference between getting a personalised message, even if it's not a sales message, getting a personalised message versus getting a kind of pre-made templated message. I always feel like there's a total difference. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
I will always listen to a voice note and reply with one, just because my brain and mouth work way faster than my thumbs. And I'll always watch a video. Just, someone's taken the time out of the day. It might be weird and they've just kind of overwritten my name over someone else's, but I'm curious. It's when you get the kind of copied and pasted message from 3 people at the same company, and you're like, that leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
I even think, there's nothing wrong with templated messages, or messages where you kind of use a template for them, but I think the issue comes when it is literally copied and pasted, to the point where if you can kind of try and change it a little bit, personalize it, even add in something that they've done recently or something like that, I think it's just a nice addition to a message. Because I mean, if you are in the process of getting clients and you want to do cold outreach, and that is the process that you're going for, then just swapping and changing, because I also think surely you're going to get better leads that way as well.
Yeah, showing that you've actually looked at someone's profile and you really like their organisation, it's something that you're really into personally, and you can bring value to that because you actually want that industry to do well, you've been following the founder for a bit, I think it really does make a difference if you kind of go through and really align with that, and they can see that you're passionate about it.
And I think that then kind of transitions into a better relationship, doesn't it? Because at the end of the day, if you apply for a freelance contract on a freelancing website, you might not know anything about that client, anything about their morals or what they stand for or anything like that. And, we chatted earlier kind of off camera about aligning with morals and companies and clients. And I do think that if you do your own research before taking on a client, then that'll end up in a better relationship because you'll want to work with them and you'll feel passionate about the work that you're doing. And I think that's so important.
God, it makes such a difference working with clients that you actually find fun.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of FB Comms was fun. There's a few corporate clients, but the teams are really fun. And kind of at my previous agency or in some agencies in general, you don't get to pick those accounts, and it might not personally align with something you're remotely interested in. I think I was selling men's boxers and socks at one point and sending all those emails. I was thinking, I've never put on a pair of boxers in my life. Like, I'm not the person to be talking about this.
Yeah, and I think that is the thing as you grow and you build your agency or you build yourself as a freelancer, you can be more picky with the people that you kind of have it on your clientele. And with that being said, touching a little bit more on retaining clients, that's something that we get a lot of questions about as well. And I know that you said, you work with some really great clients. What's your kind of like process with retaining clients? And, at the end of the day, freelancers need to make that sufficient cash flow and kind of revenue. How do you kind of cope with the aspect of kind of income, especially in the early days of retaining clients, and sometimes things you can't control? Like what was your kind of process in the early days?
The feast-famine cycle is the classic freelancer problem of having all the work and then no work because you've not had time to do your business development. So I stopped taking on projects. All of my clients now are on a retainer contract, so they get so much content or ads or emails, blogs, whatever, posts a week, and that's kind of, we do that ongoing. I mean, in the pandemic, when some smaller businesses didn't have the funds to do that ongoing, I did a DIY model, so I'd do their marketing for a month and then have them in for, online for a half day and literally show them exactly what I was doing, so then they could be self-sufficient. But then half of those, 4 out of the 8, then came back because they liked working with me and it went so well. They came back and said, you know what, that was actually, it's quite a lot in marketing we didn't think about. Can you just do it? Yeah. So it's building those relationships, and then from 2 of the others that I trained, they then kind of referred me on to other companies. So if you're doing good work and you're getting on with your clients and they enjoy working with you, then word's going to get out and you're going to get more from the back of it.
Yeah, and it's word of mouth, isn't it? That's something that so many people say. Even running Girls in Marketing, we get so many people talking about us, and even talk about me, or talking about you yourself might get that as well with clients. Word of mouth marketing is like almost top tier. There's nothing better than that organic talk of, have you heard of Fiona? She's got, she does amazing ads, or she got us this much revenue, or something crazy like that. Because I think people trust people, and it's that thing of, personal branding. You're doing a lot of it at the moment, and being really personable. And I think that being personable, having people back your corner, is the best type of marketing.
Yeah. Oh, similarly, if you're an arse, word spreads quick in the freelance world. Like if you kind of burn someone or a client, or just kind of deliver subpar work, or quite frankly just make a mean comment or something, like word will get round. do good work and be a nice person, for God's sake.
Yeah. So talking a little bit about retaining clients, you said a little bit about the fact that you work with people on a retainer basis, so you give them a certain amount of content and stuff like that. How do you manage your work-life balance? I feel like that is the ultimate question for so many people, especially as a freelancer, because I know personally I did struggle quite a bit when I was freelancing with not time management, but more just like switching off.
Switching off? I don't know her. Oh God, it's so hard. I mean, getting my office, the co-working space, was so huge. Got a little lucky drawer under my desk, and I lock the laptop and getting a work phone. Oh, best investment ever. And being able to separate those social profiles, and not having all the client WhatsApp groups and stuff on my personal phone, and not switching it off on a weekend. So I was getting from one client, he called me at 10:30 on Friday night, and I was like, I am out, I'm at a bar, I have beer in my veins, I can't work now. And he's like, oh, have you seen this tweet, we need to reply to it? And I was like, I'm not beer tweeting. It's kind of setting those boundaries as soon as you can. So I lock those in the drawer in the evening, because working from home, it can creep up on you. I was taking the laptop to bed with me. I'd pull it onto my lap first thing in the morning. I was like, oh Christ. And to be fair, last year it is a weakness of mine, and I know I need to get better at it, which is why this year I'm kind of outsourcing more, bringing someone in, so it's not completely all on my shoulders, so I can take some time off. I mean, it's still difficult. I mean, I was on holiday last week, and still had to kind of work overtime up to it, and then I did do handovers to, I had 3 contractors covering for me and being the main client contacts if they had any questions, wanted to change something, and did not bring my work phone or laptop away with me for the first time, and it was sweet. That is
amazing. Round of applause for you, because honestly, locking your laptop away and actually going on holiday, it's an achievement. So well done.
Oh, thank you. I'm pleased about it.
I always think I just get scared that something's going to happen when you're not there and you can't control it, and as much as other people can deal with situations, a lot of the time, if it's your business or it's you as a freelancer, you're the person who has to take the hit, aren't you, really? So it is difficult. But talking about what you said with clients, I had a client when I was working freelance, and they were American based, and they rang me at like 2:00 on an internet call, like Wi-Fi call, and 2:00 in the morning. I was fully asleep, and I was like, I answered because I was like, I thought it was, I don't know, an emergency. I don't know what could be an emergency. But they rang me and they was like, hey, we really need to get this done for the morning. So I did a lot of content and SEO stuff. And it was, they needed like some leaflet copy doing by the morning. And I was like, that's not happening. Like, that's not going to happen right now. I can't deal with it. And I woke up the next morning and I did it in the morning instead of then, and it was fine. And the world didn't end, which was great. So I do think that setting boundaries is really important. And after that, I had that call with that client, I just ended up giving them a very nicely professional worded email that just said, listen, I'm contactable between this time and this time, like GMT, not, your kind of time zone. But it is difficult because, especially at the beginning, if you are wanting that income and to work with clients, it can be difficult to say, I can't do this work right now because I'm out or I'm asleep. Like, it can be difficult to do that.
Yeah, and it's as soon as you, I mean, they might still text you, they might still try add you into 5 WhatsApp groups that they've got on at work, and it might try invite you to like their socials and things, but you've got a personal life outside of that, and that's okay if they're still texting you, if they're still calling you, but you don't have to reply until the morning.
Yeah, I've said actually recently we kind of had a discussion in our member society about freelancing and setting boundaries, and something that I said actually was set it from the beginning. Like if you're signing a contract with that person, say, just to let you know, I'll only be replying. You can contact me whenever, as you said, but I will only reply between this time and this time. And then that helps you, because that means that, well, you know, you feel a lot more in control, because I know, especially when I work with different clients, I didn't feel kind of in control of that contract. And I mean, that's the point of freelancing, that you are in control of your workload. So talking a little bit more about kind of outsourcing, because I feel like you are definitely an advocate for outsourcing. Freelancers outsourcing their work to other freelancers to kind of help with this workload. Yeah. I know you said it's something that you have done before. How do you even kind of start that? Like, what is your process? How do you decide what to outsource and what you don't outsource?
It came to a point and I was doing kind of absolutely everything, but not all of it very well. I mean, I'll completely be open about what I'm good at. I love being creative. I love the content. I love the client-facing stuff. I'm no graphic designer. I'm not a web developer. I can design. I can use Photoshop. I can build a basic WordPress site, but that's not where my strengths lie. That's not what I find fun. Things like post scheduling and reporting, the things that were taking up all my time, that I realised this isn't my strength. It's eating away at my time, because I'm not that good at it, and I'm taking 10 times longer than someone else could. I found my current virtual assistant on Instagram. She followed me, and then I was looking through her profile like, these are the signs you need a virtual assistant. And I was like, oh, fine. It's time I asked for a bit of help, because I was just doing absolutely everything myself. Like if accounting and the invoicing stuff really stresses you out and takes up a lot of your time, then get an accountant. It might take a hit to your overall income, but you know, will it give you back more time to do the things that you love? I was thinking I wanted to pick all of the bits of my role that I really, really like, that I'm good at, and outsource the things that I'm naff at. I don't really understand PR or digital PR or SEO at all. So I would rather pay someone who is really, really good at that, because it means that my clients get a better service. I can provide more services to my clients rather than just say, no, can't do. And also it builds a referral network of freelancers. I'm kind of working with 8 at the minute, or just doing kind of little bits for each other, but then they pass work back to me. So it's almost like this big agency of all of us offering similar complementary services. Yeah. Because even other content marketers, they've got different skill sets and niches and contacts. So freelancers aren't going to be your competition. They're never going to be doing the exact same thing as you.
No, it's nice, that kind of collaboration over competition, as people say. It's nice to kind of know that you're almost building an ecosystem of freelancers, and I think everyone can help each other, as you said. You know, you don't have to be amazing at everything to start as a freelancer, because I mean, that's another conversation in itself. I talk to a lot of people and they say, oh, but I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I only have, 1 or 2 specialisms. And I said, well, do that, do that. And you don't have to offer clients everything. If you want to, you can outsource it. If you don't, you can say, I am a specialist in XYZ, something like that. Because I think that people think I've got to have tons of experience, or I've got to, know things like the back of my hand, or I've got to have 20 million years of experience. And the case actually is that maybe you're amazing at 1 or 2 things, and you can offer that as freelance as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm absolutely terrible with organisation. I'm a chaotic person. My files are a mess, so is my house at the minute. That's why I'm bringing someone in who has those as strengths to complement each other. Nice. I know where the holes in my personality and my experience and my skill set are, and I'm happy to plug them, you know, asking for help and realising, actually, you know what, I'm no good at this. That's okay though, because someone else will be.
Yeah, that's nice, and I think that people will appreciate that honesty, because sometimes you've got to like admit it to yourself and say, I am a chaotic person, or I'm not super organised, or I'm not able to do these different things. And it's nice that you've got that self-awareness of saying, listen, I am quite chaotic. Like that's a nice thing. So another thing that I really love about the work that you do and the stuff that you put on LinkedIn is that you are your biggest cheerleader. And that's something that I really champion. I have found it difficult in the past, and still do sometimes, to be a cheerleader for myself. So what kind of things how do you hype yourself up to be your own biggest cheerleader, and what was the kind of turning point from when you first began to now to say, actually, you know, these are the things that I'm doing amazing, and that sort of thing?
At the beginning, I mean, the imposter syndrome was so heavy, and I was taking on all this work, especially for kind of Facebook ads, and I had no idea how to do Facebook ads, but I thought, yeah, I'll learn. So I took a course, I hired a consultant, I was watching YouTube videos, I was trying them on my own, and now I'm running Facebook ads for some of the biggest companies in the world. And it's kind of putting yourself in those positions and being like, you know what, I can learn this. I'm not comfortable in this situation, but I'm going to overcome it. And that's when I realised that being uncomfortable and scared and not feeling like you're doing that well, just on the other side of that is growth. That means that you're doing something that's challenging you. So I wasn't always kind of a champion of myself, and it is hard to sometimes to think, oh, I've done a really, really terrible job. I mean, I lost a big client on Monday. It was kind of coming to an end of a relationship. They needed something that they needed kind of web development over social and content. So it was totally mutual, but you know, sometimes it's hard to not take it personally. But those things happen. Then I was thinking, you know what, that's kind of opened up a space for someone that is more aligned with me. And you know, it was a really great run. We're all still friends. So you do need to just switch the narrative on yourself. But the one best thing that I ever did was start a smile file. You might have heard of the idea of it. It's basically every single time I do a really great report or get like just a nice email or message, or whether that's someone that says like they like my content on LinkedIn, or like a really good client thing, or you know, when a client messages you back without any blog changes at all, because they love it, just that in the smile file, reports and stuff. And then you know, if you are starting to question yourself, that's all there. Or if then it also works if you're pitching for new work and they ask to see anything that you've done previously, you've got an entire folder of stuff that you're proud of. And then I suppose writing, if you're writing like award entries and things like I did, it wasn't a case of kind of sitting through and hyping myself up, because I already had all that material. I literally just put all the testimonials in there and all the like screenshots of reports that I already had, and that was stuff that I was really proud of. Things that made me smile. That's
nice. I mean, the name, I've never heard of a smile file before, but that is a really nice name for it. I started something similar, but definitely didn't have as groovy name as smile file. I think I literally called it like happiness or something. And I'll definitely be renaming mine, I think. Just a kind of Google Drive of things, of people saying nice things and kind of where you've helped them and stuff like that. Because I also think, and I'm not sure that you would necessarily get hate, but sometimes when you get hate or you get kind of more negative comments, not even hate, if a client comes back and they've got tons of changes. Sometimes you can doubt yourself a little bit. And I think that looking through a file, I have a Google Drive that I just add things to, and I think it really helps. You know, as you said, award entries is a big one, because all of a sudden it's like when somebody asks you, like, say 3 things about yourself, and all of a sudden you're like, I don't have a clue. I don't know. I don't even know my own name.
Why do you deserve this? Why should you be crowned whatever the title is? And you've already got a folder full of, actually, you know what? These are all the times that I've actually done really well. Because when you're self-employed, when you're a business owner, you do question yourself. But it's important to have that backing there.
Yeah. And I think as well, if you don't have a manager or someone above you that, you know, once you've done a good job, say for example, ads are doing really well, or you've written a really good blog, you have to say to yourself, I've done a good job. Whereas, you know, if you were in a typical kind of 9 to 5, maybe, you know, someone would come and say to you, you know, you've done a really good job on that. So I think it's nice that you have kind of learned to become your own cheerleader. And what was interesting is saying about awards, and so you enter yourself into awards, which is amazing. I definitely feel like I need to take a leaf out of your book. But so you actually physically sit down and write about, you know, yourself and all these things. So obviously the smile file kind of adds into that, but what's your approach to that? How do you kind of go about you know, applying for awards, and what's the kind of process behind that?
So I'm on the Boost Awards and Don't Panic Awards mailing list. So they send through every month kind of what's coming up, what the deadline. So I started doing that to put clients forward for. And then there was the Young Digital Marketer of the Year, which was the first one that I applied for, that someone sent me and said, you should go for it. And I was like, oh, it's a bit embarrassing nominating myself, isn't it? He said, well, I can do it, but you still need to write it. He said, agencies nominate themselves all the time, like their clients, like, I don't know, Warburton's isn't going to nominate their agency for some rogue award at an industry that they're not in and that they don't understand. You can't sit and, I suppose, wait for a judge to randomly find your profile and think you're deserving. Like, if you're not in a big agency where your manager's not going to actively be nominating you, you need to put yourself forward for those. I mean, people do. The lads, when I won kind of Freelancer of the Year, the second year in a row, they were all absolutely taking the mick, saying, yeah, but it's self-nominated. I said, yeah, but it was a free award to enter. Why would I not at least try? And yeah, we were talking about this earlier off camera, that there is the kind of, oh, but you've bought your way into the awards, but they're judged fairly. You know, you don't have to enter any of them. And you know what? It's really fun. Like the ceremonies, there's Northern Digital Awards last night. That was an absolute blast.
I think as well, you know, being your own biggest cheerleader, you have got to say, maybe I deserve an award, or maybe I deserve to be celebrated, because as we said, nobody's going to do it for you. So if you don't take that leap and, you know, apply for an award, then, I mean, unless you maybe hired someone to do it, no one's just going to maybe just do it and say, oh, by the way, I did that. And if they do, fair enough. But I think a lot of the time, whilst you're still building yourself up as a freelancer and as a professional, do it yourself, and you know, it's going to work out fine.
It's a really, really great business development tool, especially if, you know, it's you, me, myself and I having those extra kind of titles in your name and getting that exposure, like Young Digital Marketer of the Year, that just absolutely popped off. That was when the tables turned. I was like, wow, I'm not going back. My inbox went nuts. I ended up co-founding a second business with somebody. I mean, it did really, really well for me. Understandably, it's some, you know, the marketing awards are namely seen by marketers, but that's my audience.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, if you think about, okay, I'm going to apply for this, I'm going to do it, and sometimes, I mean, maybe you do want to win, or sometimes you just do it because you think, I'll just do it anyway, you know, why not type thing. So many opportunities can come from that, like, it's amazing, and, you know, even just going to an award, getting leads, or even just chatting to more people, it's so nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm completely honest, I only entered the EU Content Awards because I saw one of their previous awards at like a really, really sexy, glorious like do in Barcelona. I thought, oh yeah, I want to go.
Yeah,
I want that.
Nice.
I want to be at that party. And then they did it via a live Twitter announcement.
Lovely. Lived up to expectations.
Maybe next year.
So you are one of the ultimate freelancers, and there might be people, you know, listening today and thinking to themselves, I want to do it. I want to take the leap. I want to become a freelancer. I want to be the next Fiona. What are the words of wisdom to freelancers or any aspiring freelancers out there? What do you want to kind of say to them in terms of confidence or just anything?
The work is out there. It is creating the content and getting seen by the people that have it, and imposter syndrome is not a bad thing. If you're uncomfortable, if you're in a situation where the expectations of you are greater than your skill set at the minute, it means you need to grow, it means you need to learn, it means you need to move into a space. So if you reframe that, it's not a bad thing. If you're completely comfortable and plodding along happy as anything without any kind of challenge, you're not growing.
Yeah, I think I don't know who says it, so I don't want to quote anyone, but someone said I can't remember what it even was now, but it was something about being the comfort zone is like the worst place to be, or something like that. I can't remember it was. That's probably not even the quote, but there we go. It's just really true. I think at the end of the day, you know, your comfort zone can feel really nice and cushy and lovely, but is it going to get you new leads? Is it going to get you new clients? Are you know, it might be that someone listening has never thought about entering an award before because maybe they thought they weren't worthy of it, but just do it. Just put yourself out there and just take the leap. And as you said, don't let imposter syndrome be a bad thing. Let it be a good thing and let it spur you on to continue and keep doing better.
Yeah, precisely. You can just sit with that feeling and think, I'm out of my comfort zone. I'm going places. I'm making moves here. That's what this feeling is.
Yeah, nice. No, I think it's always nice as well to kind of champion yourself, and I think that is, you know, definitely a reoccurring kind of theme throughout the episode today, is just being your own biggest cheerleader, championing yourself and kind of not taking what you're doing for granted, you know, just riding with it and being absolutely amazing. So we always end the episode on the same question, and it is about motivational mantras. So do you have a motivational mantra that you would like to share today that keeps you going, that gets you rearing and ready to go?
Probably one of the more shallow ones, but kind of, it's not that deep. Like, that's what I was telling myself on Monday with the client, you know, it's nothing personal. We weren't aligned. It's no one's kind of dying on the table. Yeah, a client might come back with more iterations than you originally thought, but it's not that deep. It's not a reflection on who you are as a person. If you're not your business, you're not your career. So
thank you so much for coming in today. It's been lovely to have you and hear all about your FB comms journey.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a fun studio and day out in Liverpool.
Right, that marks the end of another great episode. We really hope you enjoyed tuning in today, and if you did, please share with your friends, rate us on Apple Podcasts, follow us on Spotify, and watch the video version on YouTube. We've got so many exciting things coming, so we really love for you to get involved. See you soon.